Alright, now it's time to use this truck. This car is just, my goodness, where to start with this? Where to start with this car? It's gimmicky. That's the best way I can describe the car. It's a gimmicky vehicle. Mainly because, well, you don't have brakes. See, no brakes whatsoever. So it's best to simply ignore the brakes and control the car with pure throttle. It has amazing cornering capabilities for a muscle car and decent acceleration, decent top speed, but this car shines in the corners, assuming you can drive the car without crashing it. It does have a tendency to oversteer at a certain speed, but it's controllable. What speed? Well, I'm not entirely sure because I have not driven this car that much. I find it too gimmicky not having brakes. So, if the corners, if it's, this car is very odd. Best way for me to describe it is like this. If the corners are in quick succession, then the car will not struggle. Now, if you're trying to corner after a long straight, you'll have some issues, mainly because you don't have brakes. Here is where the issues will start. Okay, did not oversteer. Maybe my skill improved and I can now dominate this car. The more I drive, the more I control vehicles with a throttle. And this is not for GTA, it's for all racing games. Okay, I could have problems here. No drama. Okay, apparently I've learned how to drive this car. Or it's something else. I've mainly used this car in street races and, well, from this perspective, the streets are filled with curbs and maybe this car just doesn't like curbs. That might be it. Here in a perfectly flat terrain, it's behaving perfectly. Quite a good muscle car and a joy to drive. It's like an improved Dukes. There's this small tendency to oversteer at certain speeds, but nothing too uncontrollable. Look at me controlling this truck like no drama. My skills improved. I had so many issues controlling this. I was just going too fast, the brakes barely worked, in fact I barely used them at this point. And this is probably going to be, well, we still have the Sabre Turbo Custom and the Dukes, the Click, the Dominator GTX, the Test, but this is probably going to be a very fast vehicle. This is much better in the corners compared to the Pisswater Dominator. Careful on the throttle, I did a mistake there. If you put too much power, this car has immense acceleration, oversteering tends to happen. But again, it's manageable, unlike the Pisswater Dominator. Pisswater Dominator, you fingers crossed hope that you don't spin out, but there's a likelihood that you will. See that? See the problem here? I had too much speed, tried to brake, could not. The car simply did not respond, it doesn't have brakes. So again, you need to be on point when racing this, or else you will have these issues. Come on. I mean, if you have the controls down, this becomes quite a nice car to drive. It becomes a nice ride. But until that, yeah, it's quite troublesome. Not as much as the Pisswater Dominator, I might say, but up there. It takes skill to drive this. Wow, this is going to get a phenomenal lap time. 1:47, very good. Absolutely amazing. So things to say, great acceleration, great cornering, forget the brakes, it doesn't have brakes, simply doesn't. Takes a lot of skill like the Pisswater Dominator and has a tendency to oversteer if you're not careful with the throttle due to its immense acceleration. It has great cornering, I mean. If you know how to drive this, and if the track has many corners, this is a great choice of a vehicle to use.